Hello, Dani. Welcome to Time Team.
Hi, Tim.
Nice chat. Pretty amazing site. It's not everybody when they buy a house that they discover a pile of bodies basically in a shed, or the remains of bodies in a shed. So I quite like the sort of origins of this. A punter or someone, a viewer who decided to get in touch with us and let us know. So it was a pretty amazing start, and it just got more and more complicated in terms of bodies and things. What did you think of it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually, because you've got several things going on. So you've not just got the cemetery there, the medieval cemetery. They're also trying to find the medieval church that went along with the cemetery. And then they're also trying to look for the medieval settlement as well in the fields. So you've got all that going on, plus they find an amazing Roman find and a bit of Anglo-Saxon as well to just chuck in for good measure.
I like those when we managed to get Jackie McKinley involved, because Jackie, not only, she's an osteoarchaeologist, but not only does she do the bone aspects, but she does the whole idea of the funeral rites, the funeral pyre. And with this site, we found really quite an amazing set of Roman burial goods. And that was, I think that was really special, including some fascinating detail about food and things that were found with them.
Well, yeah, actually, there's a brilliant bit to update you on, actually. So within the Roman cremation, they found a vessel, and they also found three glass vessels, it turns out, actually. So there's like a cup, and then there's this amazing jug with a ribbon handle, like absolutely exquisite, really, especially when you think it's 2,000 years old. And they also found like a little unguent bottle and a cylindrical cup. Now, they managed to date these between 2nd and 3rd century AD, but the really cool thing is with the unguent bottle, the sort of perfume bottle, that dates more specifically to about 225 to 250 AD. So it's fantastic to have that Roman date for it.
23 bodies in all by the end of that shoot. I mean, that was a lot of burials.
Yeah, it is a lot, isn't it, actually? And in fact, actually, there were previous excavations as well that had been done. And I think the total now is around about, I think it's about 56 or something. So, yeah, it's a fair amount. And the interesting thing is they were never able to establish the extent of the cemetery either. But I suppose if you think you've got maybe, well, sort of 9-ish households, houses, families living in that area for what, a good 400 years. That mounts up over time. You know, you will get lots of people subsequently ending up in a cemetery.
And it's one of those questions, seeing Jackie again, it reminded me of the question we usually ask her when she's looking at a burial. And I remember her saying this quite often, it's quite difficult to tell what caused mortality. You think, you know, the skeleton would have some signs of what happened to them. But I think in the case of leprosy victims, which we've had in the past, it has been clear to show. But the rather, you know, sad and unpleasant reality of Black Death was around at this time. But as far as I'm aware, there's no information you can find out about that from the state of bodies. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah, apparently, because Black Death happened so quickly, the disease didn't have time to kind of take any hold on the actual on the skeleton, on the bones. So it's really hard to actually be able to see evidence of that in skeletons. But there is some really good stuff that Jackie did do. I think there's someone who had a tooth abscess. And you think, oh, you know, that must have been really difficult times before dentists, as we know them. That must have been really painful to have to live with a tooth abscess. And also, I think, yeah, there's someone with spinal injuries as well, which I think probably lots of archaeologists can sympathise with.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating what you can tell about an individual from the skeletal remains.
And I think that brings that whole issue about having enough bodies to make some sort of judgment that Jackie always said you need almost like a population on a site like this. You need to be able to see a range of different possibilities. And there was some paperwork that turned up, some strange paperwork. Richard Morris, Glenn Ford, there was some sort of interesting element of that.
So they managed to find some documents that actually referred to some of the inhabitants of the medieval village. So you'll see them reading out names of people, and it's really quite possible that these names actually relate to the people that Time Team are actually excavating in the programme.
And can you remember what date that paperwork was?
It's about 1300s. I've got a feeling 1327, but it's 1300s anyway. So yeah, pretty early.
Pretty amazing to find paperwork of that age and be able to relate it specifically to burials.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah, because a lot of parish records aren't written till later on, a good couple of centuries later. So it's fantastic to have that. Actually, talking about documentary evidence, there's the bit where Tony discovers the Victorian pet cemetery. And actually, there's listings there in a similar way where they're actually documenting the names of their pets and whereabouts they are and things.
And I remember that moment when Victor, for various reasons, we couldn't use a photograph of the church, and Victor had to go off to London on a sort of artistic dash, to go and sketch something that he could actually see.
Yeah, poor Victor. So had to go on this pilgrimage to London, didn't he? Bless him. But it's a fantastic illustration that he does. But in the end, it turned out that actually there wasn't an image of the church, but it was actually of the hall. So he kind of, it's a lovely picture, but in a way, a fruitless journey.
So we had this amazing object at the centre of this thing, Flemish glass. We won't talk too much about it at this stage, but it was one of those finds. Glass is so easily damaged, as you know, and to find enough of it to see the shape and the form, I think that was my highlight. Was that the big moment for you on this show?
Well, it is fantastic, and it's very early as well, isn't it? I think that's the wonderful thing, that it's managed to survive. It hasn't been broken, it hasn't smashed, and it's been sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Looked after and conserved.
Curated.
So it's wonderful to see the colours, isn't it? But my favourite thing is actually some subsequent information that was done after the excavation. In connection with the Roman burial, and I'd love to tell you all about that in a future update.
Brilliant. Dani, thank you very much. I hope people really enjoy Glendon, which we used to refer to, I think, as the bodies in the shed, which was a pretty grim title, but there you go. So I hope people enjoy that, and you and I will be having a bit longer chat to give a few more details you'll be able to see after you've seen the programme.
Thanks, Tim.
We can't do any of this work without you, so please subscribe, back us on Patreon, and make sure that Time Team comes back again.